What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. We're going to talk about Money in the Bank 2018. The pay-per-view just ended a couple minutes ago, and we are going to run down the events that happened and our opinions of those events that happened throughout the night. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as per pretty much always at this point, Robert DeFelice.
I am a man who got far too creative with his predictions, and thus comes before you a very sad and drained young man.
I didn't get too predictive with like some craziness and stuff, but hey, this was a pay-per-view where they went and tried something different for some of it, and some of it they just went bog standard. We're not going to try to do anything special. And that means that there's positives, there's negatives. We were, myself more than anybody else, we're crapping on this a little bit with the predictions. And I'm pleased to say I was wrong about certain things. Again, also, I always mention, if I'm being pessimistic, I love to be proven wrong. So for those instances where I was, you're going to hear some thumbs up tonight. For those where I called it, well then, we're going to crap on that. But before we get into like the specifics, what did you think about just like the pacing and the extra added time for this?
I thought that it paced pretty well, actually. I can't complain about the match order too much. And the added time, honestly, I didn't even really feel it.
Neither did
I think I'm used to these marathon shows.
Yeah, I would have been fine if they wouldn't have had that extra hour and they would have cut out two of the matches on the card, because I think that two of them were pretty much completely unnecessary. But with that in mind, I wasn't really all that bored throughout this here and there. There could have been a very easy amount of downtime, and we would have been looking afterward and just being like, man, why didn't they throw in a cruiserweight match here or something like that? And I think that they paced it pretty decently.
They don't have Hoovy.
It might be because of that. They could buy a Hoovy Pornhub parody shirt, though, if they go to TeePublic.
They absolutely could, and I recommend it.
Hoovitude Pornhub. I don't know why the fuck I thought of putting that idea up there. It's such a dumb idea. But if you want to buy it, go ahead and do that. And before we actually go through anything like that, if I'm plugging stuff right now, just a reminder to anybody who doesn't want to listen to this full thing here, mailbag is coming up, so send in the mailbag questions and head to the Patreon account. Anyway, all right. So that extra hour, we start at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time instead of 7 o'clock per normal, and we start off with pre-show per normal, or the kickoff, or the WWE Now, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, which, nothing really to report except that I liked that Kevin Owens had a big trash bag filled with pancakes.
That was hysterical.
Hey, that was cool, and I wrote that down, and I wrote nothing else. Oh, except for, it was funny that one part where the guy was walking back around, where Booker was, and he said something. I don't know what he said. It was, maybe 5 time or something, and Booker's just kind of get out here, boy. That was
Booker
funny.
is great. I think he is better suited for those, short burst pre-shows instead of commentary, because he can just say wacky things and it comes off funny.
And just bulge his eyes.
Renee Young was looking extra tan.
Yeah, she was looking good.
That really stood out to me.
Helping
Charlie
her votes in the Sexiest Superstars tournament.
Absolutely. Charlie Caruso's reaction to Kevin Owens, where the guy gives him the 2 gallons of syrup and she just goes, "Kevin, are those pancakes?" And he goes, "No. I gotta go." So that was without a doubt my favorite. David Otunga was there. I don't know why, now that he's actually just an analyzer, why he doesn't come out with the coffee mug. That would be a nice little bit of continuity, but I'm probably the only one who remembers that.
Yeah, instead of the coffee mug, he has that little gold tablet. That's his new thing. He really likes that thing. He's been having that for a while now.
Well, he's it's all about him. It's all about the tablet. You know what I mean? That's
Ooh-yo.
Okay, I was just making sure you got it.
Well, the bad part is I was instinctively thinking of singing with the horrible Otunga's Got That Family outro. When you got that family. Terrible. This is why we don't have as many running jokes anymore. It's because they were all mean-spirited and just terrible, terrible jokes. The match on the pre-show was pretty inconsequential. Yeah, the Bludgeon Brothers retained over the Good Brothers in a match that was bland even for a SmackDown TV show episode.
You know what really bothered me here, piggybacking off of what you said yesterday with the NXT tag titles, this one for real, at no point did I think that the Bludgeon Brothers were losing, so it just felt so long to me.
Roderick on the page itself on Smark Out Moment said that he thought that the SmackDown tag title match was good, which I don't want to say that it was like bad. Like, it wasn't like, you know, filled with botches and stuff like that. It's just, it was not something I was all that interested in. Like we said about the other thing, I never believed at all that Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows would win the titles. I don't think that they had much of a feud at all to be invested in. So it was really a matter of, does the in-ring quality make up for that? And I just don't feel like it did. Also,
the Bludgeon Brothers I don't think the gimmick fits the color green that they were wearing today. Just small thing, but yeah.
I'm perfectly okay if they take those titles off of them very soon, which is kind of sad.
Well, we're back into like 2010 tag team mode where nobody really deserves anything from a tag team standpoint.
I say just give them back to the New Day. They at least have fun.
Yeah, same with the Usos. I know that feud was run into the ground last year, but at least it was good.
Yeah, do something at Extreme Rules where you have like a 6-pack challenge of different tag teams. Have Bludgeon Brothers, Good Brothers, The Bar, The New Day, The Usos, and...
Oh yeah, The Bar's on SmackDown.
Rusev Day? Have a 6-pack challenge and have the New Day win, and then we can just move on. The Bludgeon Brothers are not that interesting. Or
you know what? Rusev Day.
Sanity into the mix.
If Rusev is going to win anything, it'll be the tag team titles.
Yeah. Or maybe down the line, if they can actually turn him 100% babyface, maybe Rusev wins the United States title. But
by the way, sorry, spoiler for anyone who's listening to this who didn't watch the show. Rusev did not win.
Yeah.
That briefcase.
So the pre-show was kind of meh. I'm not too surprised about it. It doesn't even bug me as much anymore. I don't expect the pre-show to be worth it.
At this point, I watch the pre-shows for the gags that you see that you won't see otherwise. Like the pancakes thing. Well, actually, they played on that in the pay-per-view. But like things like that, or Pat McAfee just being extreme. And I don't know. I enjoy the pre-show for the lighthearted moments, but I never care for the matches.
Yeah, I tend to spend most of the pre-show talking to Dace and everybody about just like regular bullshit. Just kind of like, oh, did you hear that so-and-so died? Or like, you know, like different things like that.
Did you hear? What did you think of The Last Jedi?
That did end up coming up. It was just kind of like something about, because we were talking about The Incredibles and you know, different things like that and stuff. So Bao is good. Like talking about Bao in the middle of this instead of paying more attention to what Renee is saying and what Otunga is saying and stuff like that. Go see Bao. Danny Bryan.
Incredibles to see Bao.
Yeah, see both. They're both good. Danny Bryan versus Big Cass was what started off the night, and it was okay, but Daniel Bryan wins by submission. He makes Big Cass tap out for the second time in a row.
So not just makes Big Cass tap out, but this entire feud, Daniel Bryan really made a habit out of punking out Big Cass. Just in any interaction they had. And I don't understand it. I guess that they've already changed their mind on the Cass experiment. But Daniel Bryan has constantly made Big Cass look like a bitch. And yeah, I know guy saying that about a 7-foot guy on a podcast. Somebody out there is going to go, oh, well, you're so tough. But no, the Big Cass character looks like an absolute bitch.
Yeah, it does. And if you're going to try to look on the bright side of things, maybe their goal wasn't Cass. Maybe their goal was, we need something for Bryan to do, but we don't really know what. We don't want to put him in the world title situation yet until maybe SummerSlam. So who does he feud with? We don't want to do that like an Almas thing, because Almas needs to be somebody who actually gets like a push out of it. We can't do Samoa Joe yet because we want to make that one of the potential main event feuds, and we're running out of people because SmackDown doesn't have a whole lot of options, you know? So maybe the idea behind it was throw Big Cass out there and Daniel Bryan can chew him up.
But I wouldn't have done it twice in a row. I think that there's somebody, Shelton Benjamin, for example.
Yeah, well, that's the downside to that, though, is that's the type of feud that people would book if they like quality in-ring action.
That's very true.
You know, given the options, you got
even...
like Daniel Bryan versus Shelton Benjamin, and most people, even if you're not the biggest fan of one or both of them, you would go, oh, okay, that should be a really good technical match. And then you got more along the lines of the WWE writer side where they go, well, wouldn't it be interesting if Daniel Bryan was fighting somebody who was a lot bigger than him? And it's like, that's the story match, not the match.
I also think that the goal of this feud might have been to really get over the heel hold as Bryan's new finish.
Maybe. Yeah. Either way, Big Cass is
I don't know why they're moving away from the S-Lock, but they really are.
Maybe because it's just similar to what some other people are doing.
Or maybe that they finally realized, hey, that's pretty close to Benoit there. Like,
it's pretty close to, and we're moving on to Morrison.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think, though, it's going to be really tough to make Big Cass worth a damn right now, because even though I had said before I wasn't really all that interested in the idea of Big Cass beating Daniel Bryan and then having an Extreme Rules match or something later on, they can't do it now, because at this point, Bryan won twice. There's nothing more for him to prove. He is better than Big Cass. The end. He made him tap out. Even if Big Cass attacks him, who's going to give a shit? Like, oh, now you attacked me again. And to prove my point, I'm going to fight you for the third time and beat you 3 times. If he loses to Big Cass, then it's like, why did you do that third instead of second? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So, I really hope that they move on. And I don't know what to do with either of them. But I just don't want to see this anymore.
Well, I don't think that they're going to do it again. I'm, again, going back to what I said in the beginning, I got way too creative with my predictions. I really expected Sanity to show up during the match or maybe even after, just to start something up with Bryan. I still kind of believe that that's where they go with it. Maybe he shows up on Tuesday, or they show up on Tuesday, but Bryan really needs to move on now. And I don't think moving on to a big name like Nakamura for a month is the way to go.
This is an idea that I don't think is going to go well over for anybody really listening to this for the most part, but I want to toss it out there. If you give me creative control and you say to me, all right, what do you want to do with Big Cass right now? I would be like, fuck, I don't know, because you ruined him. Let me think. And then the first thing that comes to my mind is I would turn him babyface. And even though this seems strange, maybe have him cut a promo and just be like, all right, you know what? I was an ass. Daniel Bryan, you beat me twice in a row. You proved your point. Sorry. That sounds so like, really, that's it? But when did they ever do that, you know? Just fucking do it. Have him fight Samoa Joe next. And then Samoa Joe can come out and be like, you mean to tell me that you're gonna just roll over and die like that, you pussy? And then you can have Big Cass versus Samoa Joe. I'd be okay with that.
I don't know. I think that's way too in-depth, and it would actually have to have a sense of continuity for WWE to pull it off.
Somebody would have to be like, hey, can I write a promo or two? Or like, you know, take this into some direction where we're not just repeating ourselves 1,000 times. Exactly. So it's never going to happen.
Do it.
More than likely, I'm assuming that we're just going to get Big Cass and Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan on Tuesday. Just, hey, tag him up and we'll figure out what to do next week. That kind of thing. Thankfully, though, after this, we had a fun segment, which was the New Day hanging out backstage with Kevin Owens, who brings them the trash bag of the pancakes and some maple syrup, the finest maple syrup in Canada, by the way. And he wants them all to gang up on Braun Strowman. They say that they don't want to cheat, and he ends up slipping up that he doesn't really like pancakes or breakfast food at all, including their cereal. And they flip out, and he goes with IHOP was better than IHOP, like all that other kind of shit. Big E seems like he's about to say, "Get your fucking ass out here," and he catches himself, and he's just like, "Get getting," like that kind of thing. I loved this. This is one of my favorite parts of the night, which is so goddamn stupid, but it's just, I love the New Day.
They're fantastic, and I kind of harped in the predictions that maybe they're too comedic with Owens, but this is why he pulls it off so well. And so does Sami Zayn, by the way, but they're giving Owens better material.
And he's got better people to work with for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really have a whole lot to go with when it comes to Bobby Lashley. And actually, it's a good little transition here, because our next match was Bobby Lashley against Sami Zayn. Horrible feud. Bland match. Bobby Lashley wins.
It was what I expected. Lashley kind of ragdolled him.
Yeah, but this was one of the two matches that I think that if they would have cut out that hour and they would have not had this, it would have been a better pay-per-view.
Better show, yeah.
Like, sometimes if you give me something that I like and you give me more and more and more of it, usually for the most part, I don't believe in there's too much of a good thing. Like, I love pizza, and realistically, if you eat too much pizza, you're going to feel sick, because if you eat anything, you're going to feel sick. But if I could keep eating it, and it was like 0 calories and whatever like that, like, I'd eat as much pizza as I could, because pizza's fucking amazing.
Pizza is amazing.
When you give me the extra extended cut of Terminator 2, where it's got extra scenes in it, and it shows Kyle Reese and stuff like that, that is my definitive version of Terminator 2. I prefer to watch that than any other version of the movie. So I'll go through the effort of the DVD menu by punching in the date of Judgment Day and getting that up there. I'll take an extra minute to do that just because I want the longer cut of the movie. If it's something that's not really all that great, tighter seems to be better. And this card had some good moments to it and stuff like that. But if you would have gone from Daniel Bryan Big Cass to the Intercontinental Championship match, I think it would have flowed a little bit better. And there wouldn't have been that, maybe, I don't know how many minutes it was for this match to go by. But that little bit of a downtime was enough for me to be like, all right, well, I don't really have anything to say. Like, I did my thing on Bleacher Report of the highlights and the low points. I didn't even mention anything about this, because it's just like, kind of suck, whatever.
Well, I'm glad they got it out of the way in the first hour, and not what they did with Backlash, and they put it on right before the main event, and they really understood that they just had to get this out of the way, and they did, and I appreciated it.
Do you think that the reason why they did that is because if it was in the first hour, and if people didn't remember that there was like the time change, that nobody would be like really upset if they would have missed that?
Right, but I also think that they put Bryan on first, so that if people forgot, now they're upset because they missed Daniel Bryan, and they better remember 7 o'clock next time.
Yep. I was thinking the same thing. That's the same reason why I think that they put Seth Rollins and Elias. For anybody that's like, oh crap, I forgot, and I thought that this was just going to be the pre-show, and all right, we're doing the Seth Rollins thing right now. Like, damn, I wonder what I missed. Because this actually was a good match, the Intercontinental Championship match.
Everything Seth Rollins has done in the last 4 months has been not only gold, but white hot with whatever crowd. And this match was no exception. They really had a smooth, almost old school Intercontinental title match, just elevated in work rate sense for 2018. And I thought there was quite a few times where Elias was going to win. I really liked the spot where Rollins went for the suicide dive on the bad leg, and Elias caught him and threw him into the barricade, but it didn't stop there. He then threw him into the one turnbuckle post, and then threw him into the stairs on the opposite side and back in the ring for an elbow drop. And that was a really good near fall.
Yeah, I like this match from top to bottom. And it's weird because when you were saying, like, Seth Rollins being somebody who's so dependable to count on, this time last year, he was suffering really badly. They had nothing for him to do, and he had that feud with Samoa Joe that was going nowhere, and it really took until the Dean Ambrose thing for him to start picking up some steam again. Who would have thought it would have been as simple as, let a talented wrestler wrestle?
I think it's also let that talented wrestler, find his zone where he's comfortable. I don't think he was comfortable last year with Joe. He was just becoming a babyface post injury, and I don't think he was comfortable until he really got back with his Shield brothers and found his zone again. And I'm loving everything he's doing, and God, I hope that they force Brock Lesnar to wrestle Extreme Rules and that it's Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins. Even if Rollins loses, that's a match that needs to happen before Brock goes.
I'm not so much in agreement of that, but I don't know what they're doing necessarily. And we'll get to this when we get to the men's Money in the Bank thing at the end here, but I got some theories at the very least. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match was up next, though. I'm not going to run down everybody who's in the match. You know what it is. Alexa Bliss comes out on top.
Yeah, she does.
Potential winner, again, of this year's Sexy Superstars tournament. We'll see. Vote ahead if you haven't done that already for the qualifying round, and don't vote against Vanessa Bourne. I'm going to just put it out there. I'm totally biased when it comes to this. I liked the match a lot. I thought that there were a couple spots where that was a little bit dicey, but nothing...
Sasha Banks needs to stop.
Well, if I remember correctly, it wasn't Sasha that was in a spot that was pretty bad looking for me. It was, now I'm actually blanking on. Maybe it was Sasha.
Ember?
No, Ember had like the corner ladder twice, which I thought was kind of funny because it was like, wouldn't somebody just move that ladder away? Charlotte did a couple things that wasn't like too great. Natty, I remember her like looking a little bit strange here and there. Lana was kind of confused about what to do. That's expected though. Like, she's kind of the rookie of the bunch.
Which ladder match did you think was better? This one or the one we'll see later?
The men's.
I liked this match. I thought the girls worked really hard. I think Sasha, and I love Sasha to death. I'll say it every show. She's the best one they have and top 3 best in the company overall, but she is trying so hard to be the person everybody remembers that she's gonna injure herself real bad one day.
Yeah, she is. And it's not gonna be those like, I broke a finger and I'm gonna be out for a month type of thing. It's like,
it's gonna be an Edge situation.
Yeah, that's gonna be the case. So I hope it doesn't happen.
Speaking of Sasha, where the hell was Bayley? Did they give up on this, or what are they doing with that?
They better have given up on this fucking feud, because I really don't want it to continue any longer. No appearance by Bayley, no appearance by the Iconics, no appearance by Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville.
No appearance by the Riot Squad either.
Or the Riot Squad, yeah. So I was shocked about that. I thought at least one of those entities would have come down for some reason.
Now, we were really hyping up the Natalya. She was a great red herring in the build-up. But Natalya did not win. I had said overall I was going with Charlotte because you don't bet against the Queen. But I forgot, just as much as the Queen, WWE loves their goddess. And you do not ever bet against Alexa Bliss.
Credit to Callum. He got Alexa right.
He called it. And I have learned tonight that you do not ever think that Alexa Bliss is going to be far away from the top of the card.
So at this point in the night, when she won that, what was your first thought? Was it disappointment? Was it happiness? Was it shock?
It was shock. I think that was one of the only things I said in the group chat tonight was just, wow, I'm shocked. I really thought we were going Natalya, and Natalya cashes in on Ronda, or Charlotte, and Charlotte cashes in on... Honestly, I thought it'd be Asuka. Like, just, oh, look, it's back on Charlotte, kind of haha. But no, we got Alexa Bliss. Spoiler, I did get one part right, and I did say that no matter who won, the women's briefcase would be cashed in on the same night, and I did get that correct.
When this happened, I was going through like the people in the match, and every time that Naomi climbed up, I'm like, all right, well, this isn't the end of the match. Like, just nah. For the most part, when Charlotte was climbing, I wasn't thinking that it was going to be the case. Ember, for a split second, I was like, oh, maybe they are going to go with Ember. But it didn't last all that long. And it didn't seem like at any point that I was really thinking Sasha would win. Lana, though, I started after a while going, you know what? Maybe they're going to go with Lana. Because she was doing quite a bit more than I thought she was going to. And she kind of kept really going back to it. Yeah, she was. So I was really, like, not paying a whole lot of attention to Alexa Bliss. And when she started climbing at the end there, I was just kind of like, oh, she's got it because she's got the camera. Like, the camera's moving to get her in a better shot. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? If she gets this down, I'm happy because I'm a big fan of Alexa Bliss's character work. And I can't imagine that being a wrong decision. So when she pulled it down, I was like, all right, well, I was wrong about Natty. But I like Alexa better. So, thumbs up. No
Even though I had predicted that no matter who won, it'd be cashed in same night. When she grabbed it, I thought, all right, so we've got a few months of some good promos about always watching your back for the goddess.
I kind of thought the same, too.
And nope.
I mean, I had even been like, all right, let me plan out some articles to write about, like, when is she going to cash in and things like that. And then it was like, by the end of the night, I'm sitting there going, all right, well, never mind. But then we took a fucking nosedive. Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal.
Oh, fuck. You know what? I'm not gonna complain too hard here. Middle of the card, they didn't try to do something where it's like, this goes on after the WWE title. This is the most important thing on... They didn't do that here, so I'm okay with it. Standard fucking match. And this is why Roman... and anyone really of this era, it's harder to take them seriously as a top guy, because I promise you, even if he didn't have the title, Hulk Hogan was never in a middle of the card situation. Steve Austin was never in a middle of the card situation. Neither was The Rock after a certain point. So for Roman Reigns to be like a 4-time champion and the guy and the big dog and the all this stuff, and he's just in the middle of the card in a non-consequential feud. I was happy to see him win here. I really want to see Roman do something that's going to really put him in a place where it's like, all right, enough of the games. Roman is the guy, love him or hate him. He's the guy and he's at the top, and we don't need to do this thing where he's the underdog or he's fighting for that shot against Brock Lesnar. And I just think that's ridiculous.
And it seems like so many people that have worked in WWE, when they're doing these interviews and people ask them, what would you do with Roman Reigns? They say, I would turn him heel, put the belt on him, and have him just fucking do it. Everybody seems to do this. Yet, if it's Vince, if it's Triple H, if it's both, if it's whatever, it seems like it's a Vince call. They're just like, no. And you're like, well, if everybody in the world is telling you to go left, why are you going right? And it can't be because it's like, you know, well, you gotta be different, and being different is the thing that works. It hasn't worked in like 4 years.
No, it's you don't tell me what you want. I tell you what you want, and then you enjoy it.
Right. And it's so annoying because this feud was stupid. it was built on the idea of Jinder Mahal attacking Roman Reigns and costing him a spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and then Roman being pissed. And every week following that, Roman Reigns beat the living shit out of Jinder Mahal. So why did they need to fight?
It's kind of like the Daniel Bryan Big Cass scenario where it's Roman made him look like a bitch every time. So why do they need to fight?
Right. Nothing was on the line. Nothing was accomplished here. He already proved that he can beat up Jinder Mahal multiple times, and he just won a match, so okay. He's not the number one contender by winning that match. He doesn't get into the Money in the Bank by winning that match. Nothing is accomplished except for, remember how he beat him up a bunch of times? Here he does it again. So it's stupid, and I have no fault for the crowd by crapping all over it and being like, all right, out of all the matches for us to start like doing stupid chants for, let's do it on this one. It makes perfect sense.
Well, chat me up, Tony. The rumor and innuendo says that it's Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Lashley in a 6-man tag at Extreme Rules against Mahal, Zayn, and Owens.
The stupid thing is that it seems like Owens is the one that keeps wanting to feud with Braun Strowman. And if they continue down this line, I would not be too shocked. And that is a horrible decision to make.
I think it's a weird thing where they don't want to do Owens and Zayn as a team anymore, even though both of those guys are still feuding with the same two guys that they were feuding with as a team. And I wouldn't be surprised if this match happens, but with the caveat of, well, whoever scores the pinfall challenges Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
At that point, I would just say, you know what? Do something like a true number one contenders match.
Do a 6-pack challenge?
Well, you kind of can't with Strowman in that regard.
Yeah, which is... I don't know why they did what they did, but we'll get there.
You're going to go with Roman Reigns, or they're not. If they do go with Roman Reigns, just cut to the chase and just do it. Don't beat around the bush and try to figure out ways to be like, well, maybe people cheer him against the modern day Maharaja, and it's not working, and well, we committed to this for 6 weeks. And then be like, all right, what do we do now? I don't know. Let's put Roman up against like Mike Kanellis. Maybe that'll work next week. Like, yeah, it's not gonna work. And we've mentioned this over and over and over again. We like Roman Reigns. We want Roman Reigns to succeed. Stop fucking him over. That's the point. You know?
Yeah, really. That is the point. I'm ready
Just
for
disappointing.
I'm ready for Ambrose, and I'm ready for, honestly, maybe even another Shield reunion, because that is the only time that Roman is genuinely appreciated and over.
Yep. And hell, if you're going to do something like that, if Ambrose is ready to go, I don't even know if you can do it at Extreme Rules, because Rollins has the Intercontinental title. So that's kind of tough. I don't want him to lose the Intercontinental title just to have a 6-man Extreme Rules match or something like that, but I don't know. I really don't know what they do. And if they continue this and they go with Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns in a street fight or something like that, I'm going to be really annoyed. Not for just the pay-per-view itself, but we have a month until that pay-per-view. I don't want to watch a month worth of building up to that.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So hopefully WWE figures some shit out that's more interesting, and we'll see when it comes to tomorrow, because we'll do the hot tags tomorrow, and we'll know after Monday Night Raw what's going on with like, at least a little bit. We don't know SmackDown, but hey. Speaking of SmackDown, we've got the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Carmella retains the title against Asuka because of some help from Asuka. Kind of.
Yeah.
Because it's James Ellsworth dressed up as Asuka.
Asuka pulled off the mask, and Asuka was missing a chin.
And I don't know what to say about this. I don't really like it.
I thought it was funny. Just because I had heard the rumors, and I even had to, run a couple stories about it. But I just thought Vince must have been looking around, right? And he must have realized, wait, why hasn't Ellsworth been with Carmella? And so he must have been like, well, Vince, we let him go in March or whatever. And he's like, well, get him back. Why'd you let him go?
Probably, yeah.
All right, Vince. Because it doesn't make any sense. I never really understood how he left and why he left, and he was gone for such a short period of time that it really didn't matter.
Yeah, it was March, wasn't it?
It
was after the Becky Lynch thing.
It might have been January at the most, but really it was only 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, that's true. So, I don't think he's back regularly.
You think it was like a Kali thing last year?
Kinda. And that's part of the reason why I don't necessarily like this. Another thing is I don't really like the idea that Asuka took another pinfall loss.
Yeah. My goal for this match was 4 minutes, Asuka makes her tap, Asuka knocks her out, one of the two. Asuka needed to win here because Asuka's quickly becoming flat. You know what I mean? Like, you had her undefeated for 2 years. She did wonderful things, but once you took it away from her, she lost her mystique. And now it's just like, she'll be that hurdle for heel challengers to have to try to figure out a smart way to overcome.
I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it, but of all the really diva-esque things that the SmackDown Women's division is doing, Carmella is the best of the bunch.
Here's another issue that I think that is going on right now. I don't know if it's a good idea to have Carmella as the champion on SmackDown and Alexa Bliss as champion on Raw. And spoiling something for later, but most people that are listening to this already know what happened anyway.
Yeah, it does seem a little similar. I actually think that AJ Styles. I was going to say, are all the champions heel right now? But I guess AJ and Rollins are not. So here's a side note that somebody was bringing up to me the entire night. Do you think that we're in another time where WWE is not allowing a lot of... I don't want to just make this a minority thing, because I was going to say people of color because that was the way the person brought it up to me. But do you think that they're way too focused on the same people?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
Because I guess Carmella, she hasn't had it for long, but she hasn't been all that entertaining. Alexa's been on top. She's a 5-time women's champion in 2 years. Less than. That's an amazing run. That's close to Cena-esque or Triple H-esque. You know what I mean? Like, they really like themselves some Alexa Bliss.
I don't blame them for that. I mean, if somebody ends up being good enough that they kind of earn that spot, then it makes sense to me. But it is okay to kind of like change things up a little bit here and there. And, I don't think I don't think it's a problem unless it's a problem, I guess, kind of is the way that I would put it.
I'll give you that.
So it's kind of one of those deals. Kind of hard to say, but it's like, and then people go, well, what would you do instead? And then you go, well, then I'd fantasy book the whole thing. And then you start getting into that whole territory again.
Yeah. Speaking of fantasy booking, the Dream feud came to an end.
Man. One of the happiest things about this whole night, AJ Styles just flat out retains the championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. They're done, it seems. Or at least they fucking better be. Because there's really no point in Nakamura getting another title shot. Not at all.
I'm going to skip a little towards the end of the match here. Did he hit him in the head with the chair?
I don't remember that happening.
They tried to say it was the top of the shoulder, but it sure looked like he cracked him across the head with the chair.
Well, at what point in it? Because I don't
Really
remember
towards
that.
the end, they were already outside the ring, like where the match would come to a close. It was right before Nakamura low blowed him. He hit him once with the chair in the leg, and then I thought he hit him across the top of the head, but I guess it was top of the shoulder or to the arm or something. And then he ran in for another chair shot, and that's where Nakamura hit him with the low blow.
I don't know. If they did a chair shot to the head, then that's not necessarily a good thing. But they probably wouldn't get punished for it either, you know, because sometimes people just don't get punished about that kind of thing.
Well, all right, I was a little ambitious. I thought we were going to see at least 3 to 5 low blows here. We only got the 2. Nakamura did 1, which pretty well timed, and AJ Styles hit a vicious low blow right before the end of the match, where Nakamura gets up barely and he goes, "Come on!" and AJ just kicked him.
I mean, there was a couple parts in this that I thought were kind of interesting. There was a couple parts that I kind of like, admittedly, sort of lost focus on. Like, I just really wasn't paying all that much attention anymore. It was hard for me to keep going on this because last man standing matches are kind of boring.
The hard part for me, and I think it reflected in the crowd too, even though they were very into the back and forth, they had deflated people so much on this feud that it was just like, oh man, if they do a double count out, if Nakamura wins, and I love Nakamura, but if Nakamura wins and we have to do another one of these where it's like, I beat you, now you gotta fight me at Extreme Rules in a low blow match. It's like, you know, I just didn't want to see it. I'm glad we won't. The Phenomenal Forum to the table was a cool way to finish it. I liked the match, but overall it was a disappointing rivalry, and I'm very sad about that.
I'm very happy it's most likely over with. The match itself, when it was good, it was good. When it was boring, it was a standard last man standing match. Just a kind of blah. And sitting there and waiting for them to count to 10 over and over and over again gets kind of frustrating and stuff. So, you know, they didn't do anything really all that innovative to me when it comes to like the low blows. I know that there had been reports about the whole cup thing, and that would have been spoiled and predictable, but maybe it would have been kind of fun if they would have done something like that. Maybe if like AJ would have had like a cup and it would have had something where Nakamura would have like been hurt by it. That could have been kind of funny, you know, but I'm mostly just happy with, we had a couple good spots in there and Styles retained. Like, okay, if I have to take that as a win, I'll take that as a win. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think AJ Styles can move on now. I definitely think he's moving on to Joe, because I was gonna say that maybe Big Cass stood a chance, but not after tonight.
No, not after tonight. I mean, I mentioned before, Big Cass versus Samoa Joe. Maybe if they don't go Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, or I mean, we've got to figure out something else for Daniel Bryan to do too. So, well, yeah. Extreme Rules. That's the thing. Extreme Rules is coming up next, and you can't do Extreme Rules without most of the matches that are decent having some kind of gimmick to it. Now, it's not the same like what it used to be, where every match needed a gimmick. So they don't have to figure out, you know, like, hey, we're going to do Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn in a Army on a pole match or something. Yeah, I don't know. How would you do Army on the pole? It wouldn't make any sense. Have little army figures.
You stick the little green soldier figures on a pole.
There you go. Fucking book it, Russo. You need, like, the world title matches, at least, to be gimmicks. And it doesn't need to be anything super crazy. You know, he doesn't need to be involved. Super crazy could be wrestling elsewhere. It could be like, there you go, in our fantasy booking thing. It could be like the I Quit matches. It could be, it better not be a last man standing match. It better not be like an ambulance match or something stupid like that. But I don't know. This is kind of tough. And I think that something like Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles would be better suited for SummerSlam than it would for Extreme Rules.
The only wild prediction I'll give for an opponent for AJ, even though I'm almost certain it'll be Joe, is if they decide to do a ladder match with Jeff, even though they just did 2 ladder matches tonight, so I doubt that, or they decide to just go all in and do Andrade Cien Almas.
Still thinking Almas is going to be geared up for that U.S. title. But I can't really think of what they're going to do. Hiccup in the middle of that. That was weird. What they're going to do with AJ Styles that won't feel like it's a throwaway match. Like, I can kind of see it being, well, all right. This is getting a little bit into like you're diving past Money in the Bank and getting into fantasy booking. But let's see here. They could do something like AJ Styles versus Rusev, and I feel like all they would do is move to something else at SummerSlam, and then it would be like, well, what's the point? They could do something like AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe, but how are they going to make it worthy enough to do an Extreme Rules type of match without forcing it to, you know, kind of skip forward a little bit? Or they just ignore it and they don't have an Extreme Rules match like that. And then it seems kind of pointless to have the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, you know?
Yeah, well, by the end of this, I'm going to make a strong case for just ending the gimmick pay-per-views, including Money in the Bank. But like you said, with Extreme Rules, you need to have your main events be gimmick matches. Otherwise, what's the point? And I know it's in Pittsburgh and it's not in Vegas, but I really think that the added gimmick of the spin the wheel, make the deal roulette thing would come in handy on a night like Extreme Rules.
Do you remember offhand, I'm trying to look it up now, if there was more than just one Extreme Rules match last year?
Last year, there was definitely 2, because there was the Bayley, Alexa Bliss, kendo stick on a pole, and there was the Extreme Rules Fatal 5-Way.
Okay, yeah, I've got it up now. It's we had a mixed tag match that was pointless. We had the kendo stick on a pole match that was I have that labeled down as in all caps. Ha 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 ha. Oh man, they probably knew this was going to be pretty awkward and just cut it off much shorter. Good. They had the steel cage match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. They had a submission match for the Cruiserweight Championship, and then the Fatal 5-Way. So they did a lot of Extreme Rules matches there, and that defeats the purpose of what I was going to say, because I was going to say maybe WWE, and they still might do it, but maybe WWE is going to go the conservative route this year, and maybe they're going to be like...
Dude, you go to Pennsylvania with a card labeled Extreme, and I think that's grounds enough for at least a Paul Heyman appearance, let alone an Extreme card. Last night, during the Gargano Ciampa match, they were chanting ECW, and I could not believe in 2018 we were getting a full-on ECW chant.
At least it was better than EV 2.0.
EV 2.0, yeah.
But maybe they're going to do something just lame enough that most people would be like, oh, they can't do that. But they've done this kind of crap in the past, where what if we have like Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens versus Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn in a Fatal 4-Way? That's Extreme Rules, and that's our main event.
Very well could be, with the same gimmick of, hey, winner fights Lesnar.
Yep, and just they try to market that as like, isn't this great? We're having all these 4 people fight in an Extreme Rules match. That's why it's Extreme Rules. And people are like, is that it? And then they're like, Lashley. You're just kind of like, you know, when you try to get people that like sell you on like stupid crap, and you're like, hey, I don't think that OxyClean really cleans that. And they're like, but did you see the commercial? And you know, what's that name of that fucking boat thing? Like the dude's got like the shitty little the can of the spray, and he's all like, you know, you can patch up a boat and sail on the ocean and whatever. And you're like, no, you can't.
It's like that little black thing that you just slap on anything.
It's called like Seal Quick or something like that.
Yeah, some permaseal or some shit.
And it's like, we took a shovel and mangled this fucking boat, but if we spray this stuff on it, then you can cross the, ocean and become an illegal immigrant or something. I don't know, whatever you would want to do. It's like, no, you clearly can't. And I'm sure that you have other things on this boat that are letting it do that, and they just go like, but Flex Seal, that's the name of it, Flex Seal, and they just be like, Flex Seal, fucking $2 a can, like, WWE might do that with Extreme Rules, which would be so dumb. But Lashley, just like, this is lame, Vince. Kevin Owens. We don't really want to see this. Roman Reigns. Okay, he's clearly on a little bit of a tangent here, but we're just going to leave for 6 weeks until the next pay-per-view and not watch Monday Night Raw. Like that kind of
I wish we had that option.
God, I wish we did. In the future, anybody, if you click on a Monday Night Raw live coverage highlights thing or SmackDown or something like that, and it starts off with something like, yeah, I don't know, not today, then you know that Tony's reached with that point where it's like, all right, let's give Tony a break for a week, that kind of a thing. Yeah, we'll see what happens with AJ Styles going forward. Hopefully it'll be something cool. I don't, at the very least, I think it'll be more interesting than what's going on Raw for certain things. But if we are talking about Raw, we had two more things back to back that were kind of interesting when it comes to this. It was the Raw Women's Championship match between Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. Not too bad of a match.
I liked it. I'm really enjoying Ronda in the WWE. She's clearly a fan. There was a really cool moment that stood out to me where she got on the top rope for the first time. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but she kind of lost her balance a little bit. And then she hit a perfect crossbody, like a perfect, I am a fan, I've wanted to do this all my life. Here's a perfect crossbody. And Nia pushes her off. And the crowd starts going crazy for Ronda. And Ronda fires up, and it was good. Like, she hit her with some shots. She hit a knee that stunned Nia. And she's ready to lock in this armbar. And Nia's selling it real well. The fingers are slipping. She's going, no, no, no. And all of a sudden, the crowd goes crazy. And there's Alexa Bliss, who smacks Ronda on the back with the briefcase. And then proceeds to beat the crap out of Nia's arm with the briefcase.
Not a bad idea.
It was a really good idea.
Like, if we were saying this before in the pre-show, not pre-show, for the predictions and stuff. If Ronda Rousey loses, she's already lost her second match, her first singles match. And that just really isn't something that can happen. If Ronda Rousey wins the title, can you really trust her to have that responsibility right now? It's kind of a lose-lose. You can't book Nia to win, and then you can't book Nia to lose. But if you just have it be a draw, then it's like, God damn it, WWE, you just did the Nakamura draw twice in a row. You just did this, you just did that. How many draws are you going to have on these pay-per-views? But if you do it with Money in the Bank, and you do it with somebody like Alexa, who is very, very popular, then people immediately switch over to the different channel. It goes from, damn it, the match ended with a draw, to, or well, technically a disqualification, to, oh, but Alexa Bliss is cashing in. Yay, we're happy again. Smart move.
It was really good. And like I said, for the women's Money in the Bank, you do not ever bet against the goddess.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't think that she's ever going to be far from that title picture. I learned that lesson tonight. I'm sure at least a couple other people did as well.
Yeah, so Alexa Bliss wins the championship, which means we're going to hear from some people, at the very least. Well, this is just the status quo again. They're going back to Alexa Bliss, and Nia Jax didn't get a good title reign. I agree, to a certain extent.
How rude of some people, because, hey, it's a work, and clearly they like Alexa more than they do Nia, and at the very least, you can't blame nepotism because she's The Rock's cousin.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of other factors into this that could be pretty interesting, too. Alexa Bliss cashing in on Nia Jax means their feud wasn't necessarily over. but they don't need to continue it either. I'm assuming that Nia Jax will get some kind of a rematch, but hey, who knows? Number 2, being cashed in on like that puts Nia Jax in a sympathetic light. Maybe she isn't a heel. Maybe they were just temporarily making her a heel for the Ronda Rousey thing.
Well, that video package definitely made her look like a heel.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it would have been a mistake if they would have kept her a heel, and this gives them an out without, like, you know, having her come out like Big Show and, like, cry or something like that. Number 3, Alexa Bliss, as much as you might think that it's going back to the standard, like, what we've had the past couple of years and stuff like that, she's proven herself as champion. She is really, really good at dictating feuds. So you're not putting it on somebody who can't do the job. Number, whatever I'm on, 12. Yeah, 16. Alexa Bliss is better than Natalya for that role. If Natalya would have turned heel and she would have cashed in on here, I don't know if people would have really been like, oh, boo, fuck you, Natalya, you know? Because she was just a heel for how long? She hasn't had too much time as a babyface to turn that around. And I also think maybe Ronda Rousey doesn't beat Alexa Bliss for the title. Maybe Natalya does. And maybe this is how they stretch it out. What if we get Alexa Bliss dropping the title to Natalya, say, what's the event after SummerSlam? TLC?
This year, I think it's Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell, then TLC, and then Survivor Series, and then Clash of Champions, I think. Or that Super Showdown. That's it. Oh wait, no, that's October. It's a good thing I have a handy dandy WWE pay-per-view schedule post on smark@moment.com that I can always check. All right, so the Mae Young Classic comes up after Extreme Rules, and then NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, and then SummerSlam, and then Hell in a Cell, and then the Super Showdown. Okay, so maybe Alexa Bliss keeps the title at Extreme Rules, whether it's like her against Nia or her against somebody else. If it's her against Ronda, Ronda wins. Mae Young Classic doesn't factor in. Brooklyn doesn't factor in. SummerSlam, that is, I think, if we get Ronda Rousey winning that title, we get it there. If we don't get Ronda Rousey winning the title, then I think that we have a new champion at Hell in a Cell. And I could see Natalya winning that title, and then Natalya turning heel, and then Ronda being the one to take it from her instead.
You think they do a Hell in a Cell just because Ronda's in a cage? This is Ronda's forte.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I don't think that we necessarily are going to get Ronda winning that title there. Because I don't know if they want to put her right in a cage like that. I mean, it is, like, it's not like her first match or anything like that, but it's still a little bit too much to put on, I think. At least they might be like, oh, fine, because Hell in a Cell is not what it used to be, but I'm a little bit less in that regard.
Well, the one thing that they accomplished was, for better or worse from the outside views, this is going to be a great, hey, Ronda, you're in the world of WWE now, and we have all these crazy loopholes and rules and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It should be a lot of fun.
I liked it, though. I mean, you know, I'm not going to really complain.
The important thing is that Callum was wrong. Corbin did not come out and reverse the decision, which I was really concerned that they might do. Oh, I guess, and this is a while back now, but we should also mention, we thought Corbin might come out during the Rollins thing, because Rollins won by pulling the tights, kind of.
Yeah, and I'm okay with them continuing that feud.
Yeah, that'll work out well. Guitar and a pole.
There you go. Guitar in a cage.
The cage is on a pole.
Pole on a guitar match.
Cage match. But yeah, good stuff from Ronda. I'm really liking her WWE run. She seems like she's having a lot of fun, and it really reflects.
Yeah, I think that she is now going past the point where maybe I need to stop making the argument of whether or not she can pull certain things off. She's had 2 matches. It was a tag match, proved me wrong. Singles match, did a pretty good job. I think all right, Ronda Rousey's doing a pretty good job. So I'm not going to count her out in the future. And that's why I wouldn't rule out 100% that maybe she does wrestle in a Hell in a Cell match. Maybe we get Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. And the way we get around that mostly is because Nia Jax is the next in line because she has the rematch. So they do the rematch at Extreme Rules. Alexa has to drop the title to Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam. It's another big pay-per-view. That makes sense. And then they get the Hell in a Cell rematch between Ronda Rousey and Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, that could very easily happen.
Do some kind of like Ronda. Well, if they do Survivor Series where it's like the champion versus champion thing again, then maybe that's where they do Ronda Rousey versus Asuka. At Survivor
like
Series.
I said, you never. I know we all want this to be main event of Mania, but you never count out the goddess. I mean, not the goddess, but the
Queen.
queen.
I was like, wait a minute, we just did that.
Yeah, you never count out the queen, and we do have all 4 horsewomen.
Or you put the title on Becky Lynch.
Oh.
And then you get Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch, and then that starts kind of the ball rolling of like, hey, I already beat one of the WWE horsewomen. That kind of thing.
And Becky Lynch deserves it. Becky Lynch is so much better than she is given. And damn it, I would love to see her win the SmackDown Women's title.
She is now shot up to the highest point for me. She's my next pick. So
she deserves it.
Our final match of the night was the WWE Money in the Bank ladder match for the men's side of things. I don't know why I said the WWE. Of course it's the WWE. That was stupid. It's not like a championship match.
This was the Impact Wrestling Money in the Bank ladder
Feast or Fired men's Money in the Bank cage pole match guitar. Strowman and Balor and Miz and Bears, oh my, are all fighting for the case, and we finally find out which one of the New Day members is going to be in the match, and it is Big E. Nope. Xavier Woods.
Nope.
Kofi Kingston.
Kofi. Yeah, Kofi.
For a split second, I was thinking, is Mr. Bootyworth going to come out after this? Just like it's going to be him. But yay, Kofi is fun in these kind of matches, so I think the right decision was made.
You know, and we'll get to a point where we talk about the finish where I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I thought Kofi had a good shot of walking out with that briefcase.
When he was still on Strowman's back?
Oh, yeah. I was like, they're going to do it. They're going to fucking put Kofi with the briefcase. I got so excited.
I didn't think he was going to have a legit shot, but I thought it would have been really funny if they would have done that.
Because I looked at the clock and I went, okay, it's Balor, Strowman, and Kofi's on his back. And they did the thing where, you know, Kofi was doing the Royal Rumble thing where he wouldn't fall. And I thought, oh my God, Kofi's just going to grab the briefcase and run. No, I wasn't so fortunate.
Well, this match I thought was a lot of fun.
This is one of the better Money in the Bank ladder matches since the pay-per-view days.
And man, the one standout star of the whole thing, of course, Braun Strowman.
Yeah. I mean, really, you know how you talked about on the pre-show, not the pre-show, but the predictions, how you sometimes avoid going for the obvious. WWE went straight for the obvious with this one. Braun Strowman looked strong, obviously, and he walked out with that briefcase. And yeah.
There's a couple of things that went on here that I thought were really interesting. One was, if they wouldn't have done the Raw cash-in, we would have had both Money in the Bank winners on Raw. And that would have been a mistake, I think. So after Alexa Bliss won that, I probably should have thought to myself, oh shit, it doesn't have to be a SmackDown guy now. Didn't cross my mind. I don't know why. So they kind of won me over when it came to that. Balor and Rusev and Roode And Joe, really, to me, they didn't do all much of anything.
Well, and I'll exclude Joe from the list, but Balor, Roode, and Rusev are totally lost in the shuffle right now.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that this was Roode's night because he needed to be elevated. I thought, maybe Balor because people love him and he needs to be elevated. But I guess they went with what Callum was saying. Like, this year, it's not about somebody needing the briefcase. It's about the briefcase needing somebody.
It's going to be so weird to see Braun Strowman carrying that briefcase around.
Okay, and here would be my saving grace for this. Braun Strowman, and yeah, this even, I'm being a hypocrite and double speaking from what I said about Rollins and Lesnar, but Braun has to cash in on an episode of Raw. He cannot cash in at a pay-per-view because they really need to give us a must-see Monday Night Raw moment, and those have been so few and far between lately. And I honestly think that, again, throwing logic into an illogical situation, but Braun's got the briefcase. He can dictate when he wants to challenge Lesnar. He should go to Kurt Angle and be like, I want Lesnar now, like as soon as I can. Mm-hmm. And I'm almost worried that they're going to do this. And Kurt's going to be like, well, his next contractual obligation is SummerSlam. Which, if they do that, I'll be pissed off because it's like, no, Money in the Bank says I can,
any time.
Yeah, I can cash in whenever. If I want to cash in now, I have a contract that says Lesnar needs to be here. Like,
I will say, if they can pull this off, this would be kind of fun. If they have tomorrow night, Monday Night Raw starts off, and Braun Strowman comes out and he gets a microphone, and typical Braun voice. He's just like, I'm Mr. Money in the Bank, and I want Brock Lesnar right now. And it's like, oh, yeah, wow, we're going to get a title match and whatever like that. And he's waiting in the ring, and he's waiting, and he's waiting. And Kurt Angle comes out, and he goes like, it's one of two things. Actually, it's one of three things. Number one, referee comes out, and he starts counting. Counts to 10. Brock Lesnar wasn't there. Braun Strowman is a new champion. Admittedly, I'd be fine with it.
I'd be so pissed off.
I would be fine with it because it would just be like, you know what? Fucking whatever. Braun Strowman is the champion. I'm happy. That kind of a thing.
Are you just at the point of like, fuck it, get that stupid title off of Lesnar?
Yeah, basically. Like, they had multiple times where they could have made Brock Lesnar built up to put somebody over, and they didn't. So they ruined, in my mind, multiple months, multiple times of a championship that could have done something else. They also screwed up The Undertaker's streak, and they really hurt Roman Reigns. I think that Brock Lesnar is one of the worst things that's happened to WWE.
I think that Brock Lesnar, after 31, has been just a great example of laziness, and not in the Dean Ambrose sense of like Lesnar himself is lazy, but the way he is used is so lazy. And it's like they just shit on the entire roster with stupid things like saying, well, we needed to find someone to beat up Brock Lesnar, and it couldn't be anybody on this roster, so we had to go to Goldberg. It's like, God damn it, why? But I will say, Braun Strowman needs this briefcase to earn a championship shot at Lesnar, about as bad as Roman Reigns did.
Well, that's the other thing is, I mentioned before, if you can have a scenario where he cashes in and they just say, well, Brock wasn't here and Braun is our new champion. And then Paul Heyman comes out the next week and he's just like, this is bullshit. He wasn't there. Brock Lesnar doesn't need to be here. I'm going to take this up to Vince McMahon and we're going to argue this and whatever like that kind of a thing. Number two option, Braun Strowman comes out, cuts the same promo. Kurt Angle comes out and he says, hey, that doesn't work, even though that's exactly the way that Money in the Bank is supposed to work, because Brock Lesnar gets special treatment around here. and we can't let you just do that. And the most that I can do is I can give you a match at Extreme Rules. And maybe they just do the match at Extreme Rules and Braun Strowman wins the title because maybe Brock Lesnar doesn't want to necessarily hang around until SummerSlam. You don't need Brock Lesnar to be at SummerSlam. You just need him to drop the title. You know what I mean? Well, especially if we get like Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss. Then that already takes away some of the whole like pizzazz of it. Another option, Braun Strowman comes out, says, I want to cash in right now. I want Brock Lesnar. Kurt Angle says, well, Brock Lesnar's not here, but hey, the Money in the Bank says you can do this or whatever. And then Constable Corbin comes out and says, on behalf of Stephanie McMahon, you can't cash in. Boo. Oh, whatever like that. And then we get something like, hey, the next contractual obligation is SummerSlam. And then Braun Strowman has a temporary one card feud with Braun Strowman with Baron Corbin.
I like the idea, like Callum had said, about people actually calling their shot and just, hey, I'm gonna cash in here because I'm a badass and I don't need to jump you from behind. I'll cash in at this pay-per-view. But just the idea of them going, well, you can't do what your contract says you can do because by God, Brock Lesnar won't be around till SummerSlam, but we'll give him to you at SummerSlam. But my issue with this is Strowman didn't need it. He didn't need the contract for a match with Lesnar. He's had as many shots at Lesnar for this Universal title as Roman Reigns had. He's had a Fatal 4-Way, a singles opportunity, and a triple threat. And, he's had 3 shots at Lesnar. And I just don't think he needed the briefcase.
Yeah, and another thing is, it would have made a lot more sense if they wouldn't have had those matches before, because now it's like, even though I like Braun Strowman a lot, it's like, we're going to get Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar again? Like, how many times can we do the same fucking matches? Now, not to say that if it would have been like, Finn Balor wins, and it's like, oh, Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. I guarantee you the very first reaction I would have had was, you mean to tell me Finn Balor's going to fight Brock Lesnar? No, he's going to get his ass kicked, and then I don't want to see Brock Lesnar retain the title. Like, that would have been... It's because the problem here is Brock Lesnar, not the other people, necessarily. It's the booking decisions, and it's Brock Lesnar, and it's the booking decisions around Brock Lesnar. So, what'll really annoy the crap out of me if they do this is the pessimistic point of view before I get to the optimistic one. Pessimistic is we get Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. They waste Extreme Rules again with some kind of Roman Reigns wins the #1 contenders match or something like that. And Braun Strowman just carries this briefcase around for a couple of months, and then he cashes it in like a lame duck kind of weasel on Roman Reigns. And then that's their way to make Roman Reigns drop the title without looking weak. That's the last thing I want them to do with this.
And I wouldn't be surprised at this point if it just becomes a freaking triple threat at SummerSlam, where it's like, I'm cashing in my Money in the Bank, and I want Lesnar. And then Roman Reigns comes out and he goes, no, I beat Brock Lesnar at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Give me Lesnar. And then they go, well, fuck it, you get a 3-way because here, like...
Or something like, oh, well, then Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns will fight at Extreme Rules to determine the #1 contender, and it'll end in a draw.
No, that's ridiculous, because Braun Strowman has a fucking contract that says, hey, if
I know,
if I want to challenge him in his UFC gym, I can do that.
That'd be great, too. I just want this to end with Braun Strowman wins the title, and he's a babyface, and there's no more bullshit. And I want him to straight up beat Brock Lesnar. Just over and done with, So, disappointed that we didn't get The Miz, but man, this match was fun, because it was like, that tossing Owens spot was great. Yeah. Braun Strowman running through the ladder was funny as hell.
And Miz's reaction to that was fantastic.
And the beginning of this, when everybody's all ganging up and stuff, and the Miz tries to win really quick, like.
And another great moment that comes out of that is Balor tries to get one of the ladders that Strowman is buried underneath, and he's dragging the ladder away, and all of a sudden Strowman's up and he tugs on it, and Balor's face is just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, so I liked it.
Match. I am gonna make a strong point here that I don't think Money in the Bank should be its own pay-per-view anymore. I think the added element of it going back to WrestleMania and it being a thing where now it becomes a WrestleMania moment for whoever wins, even if it's an obvious lackluster win, it's okay because it's a WrestleMania moment. And then you have the added caveat of this person can still cash in tonight, or if they have great patience, they can be the main event of next year's WrestleMania. There's just a lot more logical things you can do with it on a WrestleMania, and I don't think it needs to be its own show in the middle of the year.
That Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal kills it, I think.
Well, that can go away, though. They haven't done anything with the winners. And also the same thing for the women. Do 2 Money in the Banks at WrestleMania. They haven't done much with the women's Battle Royal, you know?
Well, you got to keep the Fallopian Tube Championship.
I really, you know, of all the things that they shouldn't do, it's keep that trophy. But going back to the Braun Strowman thing, we know that Lesnar won't be there in October because we know he's not announced for the Australia show, and if he was going to be there, he would have been announced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, August he's going to be leaving, and you know what? He doesn't have to stick around until SummerSlam to lose that title. Like, they've had big title matches and big title changes happen at pay-per-views that aren't the big 4. Have it happen at Extreme Rules. Just do it. Just have Braun Strowman cash in, just and advance, and he just says, you know what, fuck you, I'm going to fight Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules, and then he beats him in some kind of a no DQ match.
I think it's sad that they've wasted Lesnar to the point where it's officially become, okay, just go away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the saddest thing to me. Because Lesnar's actually entertaining. It's just when you have the belt that is supposed to be the top belt on the flagship show, it's being wasted because it's never there. And then you think, oh, well, Lesnar, he's so important. Nobody on the main roster can beat him. Let's send in Goldberg. That will always rub me the wrong way. I'm sorry. Lesnar should be putting over guys on the main roster, and the only reason he's not, and I'll say it again, it's not because Lesnar is this prima donna. Anyone who thinks that has completely bought into the WWE narrative. The business is a work. If you told Lesnar, we're going to give you, I don't know, $1 million tonight to lose to Finn Balor, he'd be like, great. You want me to fly around for him too? Because I'll hit a shooting star press if that's what you want. You're going to give me $1 million? Fuck, I will fucking do it.
They're like, please don't try to do a shooting star press again. We don't want any more superstar deaths on us.
You know, but that's exactly what it is. It's a work, and they don't want to separate themselves from Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar is legitimacy. Even though they fucking love to say we're entertainment, they like being attached to legitimacy. That's why they like being attached to things like the NBC Universal red carpet thing, because it's legitimate. It's real media. It's, you know, why do they have 2K Sports doing their thing? Well, because they do all the great sporting franchises. Yeah, but you're not a sport. But this legitimizes us. It's like Brock Lesnar just needs to lose the title in a way that's entertaining. You know,
mm-hmm.
I just want to see an entertaining end to the Lesnar chapter because he has been fun to watch, and I want to see it have a happy ending.
Yep, I agree. So that's Money in the Bank.
That is Money in the Bank.
We'll see Scotty, what the ramifications of this all is going forward. If this means tomorrow night, the positives that we have going on are going to be like, oh, God damn it. Why, like, you know, you thought you were going in a good direction here, and then it just turns out that Roman Reigns challenges Braun Strowman for the briefcase and beats him or some bullshit like that. Or, AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura gets announced for the next 15 pay-per-views in a row, or, we'll see what it comes to that stuff. But of course, that's when we're talking the hot tags and stuff. For now, Money in the Bank. Leave your comments below and tell us what you thought of the pay-per-view and what you thought of our opinions about that. Agree or disagree. Keep it cordial. And stay tuned for that hot tags as well as the mailbag for this week. Remember to send in your questions as soon as possible now that the pay-per-view is done. Remember also, if you just ask us questions about the pay-per-view, we're probably just not going to answer them. And vote on the Sexiest Superstars tournament, because I don't know when I'm going to shut that poll off. We're going to address it at some point in the podcast this week, probably on Wednesday. And I'll probably do the mailbag on Thursday, just to, kind of get that going and stuff. But the poll is going to shut off at some point. It's either going to shut off on Thursday or it's going to shut off on Friday. I don't know. And you got 14 women to eliminate and 37 men to eliminate. Where you got like 50-something responses or so. So thank you for those that have voted, except for those who voted against Vanessa Bourne.
Don't be like Tony and vote against Drew McIntyre. Don't be like Tony and vote against Ronda Rousey. Keep Bianca Belair in there, guys. Like, let's get Bianca Belair to the top of this thing.
We all have our personal choices and stuff, and it'll be very interesting to see how the brackets turn out and everything. But stay tuned for all that stuff. And you can do that by subscribing to the YouTube channel and ringing the bell for notifications. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment, especially now that I've fixed the Twitter accounts and the links actually show up the way that they're supposed to. Yay, if this, then that. It's a good thing that it actually works. And the other plugs that I've got going on, I checked out a couple of different things over the past couple of days, Tag and Incredibles 2. So if you want to check out the Fanboys Anonymous side of things, go check that out. Tony Mango on Facebook and Twitter and blah, 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 blah. Robert, anything you want to toss out for the plugs?
Stay tuned to WrestleZone tomorrow. I will likely be covering whatever news comes out of the United Kingdom tournament, spoilers and stuff like that. Dude Felice on Twitter and Instagram. And stay tuned to this week's Triple Threat to hear me continue to talk about Money in the Bank. And I'm looking forward to talking about the Sexiest Superstars tournament because it's a nice break in the monotony.
Yeah, thank God that it's going to be tournament talk and mailbag, where we're not going to have to be like, all right, another thing, dive down the current events of it and be like, God.
Yeah, so this should be a fun week from Smark Out Moment.
And it seems like we already have a good lineup of hot tags coming too, so also good. But we will see you when we see everybody Monday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night, most likely. And thanks for listening. Hit up that Patreon, buy a t-shirt while you're at it, and doing whatever else you're doing.
And ring that bell because we are being counted out.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for all your support and for listening to predictions, That Bitch and Complain, and Pay-Per-Viewpoint post shows that go on for well over an hour and a half.
Because we fucking get sidetracked and talk about Juventud Guerrera.
Yeah. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we are being counted out.